Hallo, willkommen zurück. Jetzt sprechen wir über Präpositionen. Präpositionen sind ganz wichtig in der Sprache, in der deutschen Sprache. Deswegen müssen wir uns damit jetzt beschäftigen. You're welcome to the class again. Today we are going to talk about preposition. And preposition is very important in the language, the German language. And that's why we have to occupy ourselves with these prepositions. And we're going to start with a reminder. We have what we call part of speech, and preposition is also a part of speech. We have verb, noun, adjective, adverb, and all that. But then preposition is also a part of speech, which is also very important in the German language. Now, how do we describe prepositions? These prepositions, how do we describe them? Actually, prepositions describes the relationship that is existing between people or things. Relationship that is existing between people or things. And I have an example to start with here. Wir treffen uns der Schule. Here we have uns, we, and then we have Schule. So we see there is something happening between we and Schule. So that relationship is what preposition describes. That is, relationship between people and relationship between things. So that example, wir treffen uns, I will just give one or two prepositions to illustrate. Inter der Schule. We are meeting ourselves behind the school. Wir treffen uns hinter der Schule. Of course, it could also be wir treffen uns vor der Schule. It can also mean wir treffen uns vor der Schule. It's still talking about relationship. Yeah? We and the Schule, and then we meet behind, hinter, vor, in front. It can also be, wir treffen uns neben der Schule. So we see prepositions are good to describe, in describing or by describing, where you use them to describe the relationship between people and or things. Then we need to understand that in German German prepositions can be grouped into three parts. And I will just call this one A. Remember I said three parts. And then B. And then C. So we have these three classifications of prepositions in German. What's their difference? What makes the difference? Why are they different one from the other? We have on this side, the A group, we have the following preposition. We're going to explain why they're different, but let's talk about them first. And I'm going to pronounce it, then you pronounce it after me. Ohne, gegen, für, durch, bis. Wonderful. Those are the prepositions that fall within the first category. Then category B. Über, in, auf, an, vor, unter, hinter, hinter, neben, neben, zwischen, zwischen, zwischen. That's for category B. Now we go to the last category, bei, bei, aus, aus, nach, nach, mit, mit, ab, ab, zu, außer, außer, von, seit, seit. This is very interesting. Gegenüber, gegenüber. You enjoy it? Gegenüber. Okay, so those are the prepositions that we have in German. What we're going to do now, we're going to give examples how each of these prepositions are functioning. We'll give at least a sentence for each of the prepositions to help us understand their usage better. And after that, we will be able to make use of them ourselves. So we go to that now. And before we go on to that, we see that group A, there's accusative written on it. This, whenever these prepositions are used, I will say it this way, they command accusative case, accusative case. We're still going to talk about that. And then, when any of this one is used, actually, let me say it this way, the first group commands accusative, the third group commands dative, and the second group is actually, it commands the two. That's why we see this one is a part of this, a part of this. So this one commands both accusative and dative. It commands both accusative and dative. And that's why we call it Wechselpräpositionen. 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 The meaning is that sometimes it commands accusative, sometimes it commands dative. We're going to explain all that so that we see when and how are these prepositions used. Okay, so we go straight on to the examples of how these prepositions come up, how they are used in sentences. Bleib dran.